US-China shipping war, the depth charge that hit America's Achilles heel. Can you believe it? The world's most powerful economy has been struck bloody on the high seas by a soft-touch incision. On October 10th, China announced that starting October 14th, it would impose a special port dues fee on U.S.-affiliated vessels. The U.S. merchant fleet, once the maritime hegemon controlling 66% of global capacity, is now reduced to a global share of less than 0.2%. The ultimate irony: when China announced this surcharge, America's reaction wasn't to retaliate, but to realize, in utter despair, that it has no leverage left to fight back. This is not science fiction. It is a real-life scene from the 2025 international trade battlefield. A single notice from China's Ministry of Transport acted like a depth charge, unleashing a tidal wave in the global shipping market. Why is China making its move now? And what gives it the power to hit America's 7-inch Achilles heel with such precision? Let's start with a mind-blowing set of data. The U.S. built only 107 commercial vessels in all of 2024, while China's single-month capacity exceeds 100 ships. When a U.S. shipyard quotes $625 million for an LNG carrier, China is building the equivalent ship for just $330 million. This disparity is like a medieval knight with a spear facing a modern soldier with a machine gun. The competition is on entirely different dimensions. More critically, U.S. ports are undergoing a slow death. Los Angeles and Long Beach, the two largest ports in America, can't even crack the global top 20. While Chinese ports achieve unmanned operation, using fully automated terminals, U.S. dockworkers are striking to protest automated equipment. This technological gap leaves the U.S. utterly passive in this shipping war. Next, we will lift the veil on this U.S.-China shipping war from three dimensions: legal strategy, industrial might, and the ripple effect. You will see how China, with Oriental wisdom, is forcing the U.S. to the negotiation table without turning over the chessboard. Legal playbook, the deadly trap of the boiling frog. China's countermeasure is a textbook case in legal warfare. On the surface, it's just a port fee increase on 5 types of vessels, but behind it is a meticulously designed triple kill. The first kill: precision penetration, no escape. China's countermeasure is not a simple tit for tat. It employs piercing regulation, regardless of the flag you fly or who operates you. If the capital behind it is American, holding over 25% stake, you cannot escape the fee. This design immediately neutralizes the common American tactic of shell changing, instantly exposing companies that try to skirt sanctions using Panamanian or Liberian flags. The second kill: gradual pressure, boiling the frog. The fee standard is divided into 4 tiers over 4 years, gradually rising from 400 yuan to 1,120 yuan per net ton. This incremental increase is like slowly boiling a frog, sinking American companies into a cost quagmire without immediate shock. The masterstroke is the negotiation window. China offers, return to the negotiating table before 2028, and you can avoid the highest tier of fees. This carrot and stick approach is far more sophisticated than America's blunt sanctions. The third kill: elastic mechanism, room to maneuver. Hidden within the announcement is a secret weapon. The fee will not be collected at subsequent ports within the same voyage, and the annual charge will not exceed 5 voyages. This means China can deploy a precise strike or ease the pressure on U.S. shipping companies simply by adjusting the fine print. This flexible enforcement mechanism kicks the ball back to the U.S. Continue the confrontation and watch costs spiral, or sit down and talk? The choice is entirely America's. Commentary analysis: China's legal maneuvering demonstrates superb strategic composure. Instead of hastily flipping the table, it is slowly tightening the noose over 4 years. This boiling frog strategy is far more lethal than America's shock therapy. By the time U.S. companies realize they cannot bear the 1,120 yuan/net ton port fee, it will be too late. Crucially, China always leaves the door ajar for talks, forcing the U.S. to constantly waver between confrontation and cooperation. This Blending of firmness and flexibility is the essence of great power strategy. 2. Industrial might. The Chinese manufacturing downshift attack if the legal play is a tactical precision strike. The crushing force of industrial capacity is a strategic downshift attack. The rise of China's shipbuilding industry has fundamentally reshaped the global shipping market. Data comparison, crushing advantage. In the first half of 2025, China's shipbuilding completion volume, new order volume, and on-hand order volume accounted for 47.2%, 64%, and 57.6% of the global total, respectively, number one globally for 16 consecutive years. Even more frightening, China has achieved breakthroughs across high-value sectors like LNG carriers and ultra-large container ships, with localization rates exceeding 90%. The US, by contrast, produced fewer than 10 commercial ships in all of 2024, equivalent to less than 1/10 of China's monthly capacity. Shipbuilding costs are 3 to 5 times that of China, with new ship quotes over 40% higher. Technological breakthroughs shatter monopoly myths. The localization rate of Chinese LNG carriers has increased from less than 10% a decade ago to over 75%, with an 80% target this year. Hudong-Zhonghua's fifth-generation 174,000 cubic meter LNG carrier boasts 18% more cargo capacity than its first generation and 50% lower fuel consumption. What about the US? It remains completely dependent on imports for marine crankshafts and propulsion systems. This technological gulf leaves the US entirely non-competitive in the high-end vessel market. Scale effect, the unbeatable cost advantage. China possesses the world's most complete shipbuilding supply chain, from steel to engines, with 90% of components sourced domestically. This geographical clustering allows Chinese shipyards to enjoy logistics costs that are over 60% lower than in the US. Conversely, the US is shackled by the Jones Act, which mandates that domestic shipping must use US-built vessels, leading to sky-high costs. This act of handcuffing oneself has caused the US to completely lose its competitive edge in the global shipping market. Commentary analysis. The rise of China's shipbuilding industry is a quiet revolution. While the US remains fixated on chip sanctions, China has already executed a complete industrial overtake in the shipping domain. This supremacy is not only reflected in capacity but also in technology and cost. China completed the US's 50-year journey in just a decade. More importantly, the resilience of China's supply chain means the US cannot contain it through sanctions. While US shipyards fret over a single vessel order, China is already planning the next generation of hydrogen and ammonia-fueled ships. This frontrunner posture means the US has entirely lost the initiative in this industrial war. 3. The butterfly effect, global shipping's dominoes. China's Achilles heel strike is triggering a chain reaction across the global shipping market, forcing American shipping giants into a death loop. This 7-inch strike is a classic case study in global strategy. By precisely targeting the weak points of the US shipping industry, China is leveraging the entire global trade system. The 4-acts, performed by US shipping giants, lobbying the White House, reflagging vessels, WTO countersuits, and Beijing negotiations, are ultimately just attempts to buy time. But they know the real antidote is singular: return to the negotiating table and re-establish fair trade rules. This shipping war will ultimately conclude with a Chinese victory, for history is written by both strength and wisdom. This shipping war reveals a truth: true great power wisdom is not about bullying the weak, but about using the opponent's familiar language to communicate the principles of cooperation and win-win outcomes. China's countermeasure is both a heavy punch and an invitation to the negotiating table. While the US remains trapped in hegemonic thinking, China is using action to prove that openness is not a one-way street and cooperation is not charity. Now it's the US's turn to choose. Will it continue to use unilateral sanctions to harm its own economy, or return to the regulatory framework and cooperate with China to maintain global supply chain stability? The answer is quite simple. China has put the price of the special ticket, $400 120 yuan, on the table. Whether the US gets a discount or a waiver depends entirely on its sincerity.